What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Mr. Bagel's channel for trading analysis. I hope everybody had a good week, and we do see a lot of opportunities in front of us this week as well. So let's talk about those. The flow on Friday's session was pretty decent, and we obviously talked about ARM, and it happened the way we actually expected it to, right? Very strong weekly close. We talked about these that earlier last week that we had a little bit of sell off, and that was not to be concerned just because if you're moving over to the larger time frame, it was looking really good, right? And we get better clarity if we're looking at daily right now that we took out the previous resistance at $154.65. And yeah, we found a little bit of profit taking on the session, mainly driven by Nvidia, AMD. Broadcom was really good, but when Nvidia is down, you have to respect that some other semi name can be affected very easily as well, right? But this is bullish, um, right? That volume has been accumulating, RSI has been shooting up, and also BX has turned like really good, really good setup, right? We can expect a little bit of cool off in the coming days, but this is now bullish, right? Oh, that is very bullish, right? Moving over to 4 hour, like whatever time frame you want to use. Um, if you're playing like a short-term play, you probably want to have some stop loss. Uh, but yeah, the risk reward right now, if you're entering a new trade, it is not there for me. Um, I'm still leaving some runner on ARM, but it's a very small portion. I do expect some like cool off in the next two sessions. So yeah, just keep that in mind. It was a pretty good run, all the way from 138 to 154, for $157 almost. So if there's some profit taking, sure, but it would just be a profit taking, right? Volume will show the way as long as we are defending. I think it's very important that we close above $150 on Monday and also on Tuesday as well. But as long as we can defend $140.83, this is no cause for concern. All right. Now let's talk about the market. That S&P had a pretty bad weekly close. Right? This is not good. If you're going back to probably a couple months, the last few months or so, this is the first time that we had a lower low and lower high on weekly and on higher volume to the downside. Like if you're looking, yeah, right. And the last time we had lower high and lower low, even though the volume was not exactly the same way it is today, we found a little bit of selling, right? I'm not saying that this is what will happen. This is what likely would happen. Okay, so this is gonna be providing you with more clarity, right? Lower low, we closed on the low with that kind of volume, and then the market would just struggle a little bit afterwards. So do expect some downside or maybe just some consolidation in the next few weeks, just because we can see that on the volume that we have hit the call wall 6099.97, because 6100 is a major call wall, right? It looks like the market is not ready to take that level anytime soon. So if that level still serves as the major resistance, we will just continue to find some weakness in the market in the coming weeks. All right, so with that in mind, yeah, we don't see any instant sell-off in the market. Like I think at most we can see a negative 1% day on S&P. Uh, but if that happens, it can certainly be met by bull demand, right? So with that in mind, we want to talk about some notable shorts, but also some notable longs, just because some underperforming sector is still showing pretty good strength at the moment. Um, let's talk about the weakness, right? We have been seeing, obviously, JPM, a major beneficiary from Trump victory, and financial sector being one of the most notable sector to be in, but it has run wow, right? I mean, you just don't expect this kind of run from JP Morgan, right? Wow, that was some pretty handsome profit. Yeah, the stock usually doesn't move that much, but now we are seeing some weakness, right? Like people are leaving this party. So what do we see here? We always want to move over to a larger time frame. Again, larger time frame dictates smaller time frame. That's just the way things work. All right. So on weekly, what do we see? Let's make sure that I zoom that out a little bit more for you. Okay, that is a pretty bad doji. Also, it was already showing some evidence, right, that huge run after the election, and we were still able to push up further to the upside, but volume was declining. And sure enough, it sold down, right? And sold again. Lower high and lower low on the weekly. We were still finding some buyers over here, but last week it was just like, hey guys, no more. Okay, this is it. We are ready to push it down further. We are ready to get out of this trade. And so the volume is also on the increase that we had 40.58 million. Previously, we had only 35. So more and more people are looking at this trade and they're looking at it to go to the downside. That's weekly, guys. If you go over to daily, it's even better, right? We rejected 20 days moving average on very, very good volume, right? In the last 2 weeks, you saw two green candles and the volume has been declining. And this is really, really weak, right? Like even if we try to make another high, we got so down, reject. Okay? And look at this. Deep red on MACD on that BX trender. Also RSI has been falling off the cliff, right? This is a very clear signal for going short. But do keep in mind that if we are able to close above $248, um, you'll get out. Okay, that means, I mean, it looks very, very good setup over here, but you know, sometimes some bullish news or some other factors can always come into this market to change the course of direction. So always have your stop. Okay. Snowflake. Wow, we liked this. We liked it all the way over here. I didn't play the earnings, but earnings were pretty darn good. And but this is pretty much the same setup, okay? It's even better than JPM just because when we saw the first red candle on the weekly, JPM was still excuse me, pretty relentless. Still find some buyers, right? But then the second candle actually showed the way. But snow is a different story. If you're looking at weekly, the first red candle had already determined, okay, this is where we want to go. And RSI on the weekly, we actually hit 72. That's really, really high. That is very, very overbought. This is by no means a short, like a bearish, like swing bearish. Okay, this is not. This is really, really good. We are seeing some profit takers. That is why we want to be able to take advantage of the current trend that we're seeing. We can play to the downside. Daily, yeah. I mean, look at this. In the last 7 to 8 days, we found a little bit of buying pressure, and that is very, very weak, right? That is so weak. You are not even seeing a wick down there. It was just like, okay, we have sold down pretty significantly. Now let's see if buyers are able to pick it back up. Now the buyers are small fish, right? The big guys are not buying this right now. And then sure enough, on Friday we sold again. I think this has very, very high potential to break 20 days moving average. Look at this. If you're moving over to daily, you are seeing this very clearly, right? That things are beginning to turn. If we're moving over to 4 hours, I don't think that looks a whole lot. Yeah, it doesn't really tell you anything over here, but I think if you move over to 2 hour, you can see a very clear downtrend, right? Lower high, lower lows, lower highs, and lower lows. Only two waves or two and a half if you depending on how you count this. But the downside play is gonna be stopped if we close above $176.28. Okay, but you better believe with market being a little bit weak right now, it looks to be a little weak. It's still early to say, but I do think we're gonna see some pullback, and this name can easily drop to close the gap. And where's the gap? Well, maybe not so much for closing the gap because it's very hard to imagine that this name can go below 20 days moving average, but 50 days moving average over here $146, uh, that is possible in my opinion. But yeah, to have a relatively like reasonable risk reward, you will set your stop over here back there that we talked about the number, and then you just aim for like probably any risk reward for you that you think makes sense, and also depending on how the market moves, we will likely to adjust those stop level or profit taking level accordingly. But right now this looks like a short, and we'll see how this develops. It can potentially become a swing short. If that's the case, we will notify that on the channel. All right, and obviously we talked about ARM and being very, very good. Some other semi names I wanted to talk about, which are Micron and Lam Research. So if you've been following, you know that I've been pretty bullish on ARM Research. So look at this on weekly, up and wick, higher highs and higher low with that kind of volume. What happened next? Well, we talked about this being one of our favorite setups to go long, right? What happened next was okay. The same thing happened, right? We went up, but we found a little bit of resistance over here on the weekly moving average, but the same thing happened again, right? So I think very likely we would take out the previous level this week. If not this week, maybe the week after, because this is looking bullish, right? And we are also on our side above that moving average. If we're taking a closer look at the daily, yeah, so we've been respecting this 20 days moving average, right? This looks like ascending triangle, whatever you want to look at it, and we are above 20 days moving average. We are not able to close below it, not anymore. And well, volume is, yeah, I mean, the volume is kind of high. The market doesn't know what it wants to do, but keep this in mind that Nvidia crashed on Friday, and Lam Research was able to, you know, up 0.9%. I think that's pretty decent. That's pretty good. And you better believe that even though we have higher volume over here on this candle, it also showed a lot of buyers in here, right? We almost closed the day green. So weekly is good, daily is good. This is to the upside. Like even if you wanna just kind of try to be an artist and draw this trend line over here, we are good, right? We're really, really good. Weekly is good, daily is good, and it's just been consolidating, right? I'm not saying that I'm 100% sure that the movement to the upside is 100% to be taking place this week, but I would say that's very likely. Okay, because right, we made that higher high, as compared to the previous high, so that's good, and we're still respecting that support level. So this is looking really, really nice, right? For lamb research, I do believe if semi doesn't really crash this week, I think this is gonna find some pretty good buying pressure, right? I do expect this to be taking out the previous resistance, which is at 79.83. Yeah, $80 is gonna have another resistance. If we're able to take that out on higher volume and just on a very good closing above 80 and just like this kind of ramp, you better believe that big guys will have already stepped in. And that's your ultimate signal to consider going long on Lam Research. And Micron, this thing looks just incredibly good. Okay, let's look at weekly. So keep it a good habit to always check weekly at the end of the week and also at the start of the week, because that's what other institutions do as well. Okay, they care about these kind of things. And obviously higher high, not higher low. I mean, not higher low, but we obviously found support at the very same level that we did previously. Higher volume, that is over here, and we are about to have the cross. If you can look at this MACD over here, right, starting to accumulate, and RSI is right at the moving average. So if you are considering long, this would be a very good place, and we are still early just because we haven't had the cross yet. And typically on weekly, we like to see a little bit of selling. We want to see the selling has concluded. On weekly, we just see strength. If we want to see if the sellers are still present, if they are, capitulating over to the upside, we want to move over to smaller time frame, which is daily over here. Wow, higher high, higher low, very, very clear. Over here, we also turn and we have that cross, and now RSI, we are above that moving average, which is the yellow line over there, right? What do you see here? Big sell, don't know why, very bad close, and we try to buy it back up. Wow, that is weak. Now what happened? Well, we push down. We are able to take out the previous low, but not this low right here, which is to tell you, okay, the sellers are, maybe getting exhausted, but you are not seeing the kind of buying, committing into this kind of trade, because yeah, the low point was 97.76. We closed at 98.24, and that is not very strong buying, you would hope. But the next day, wow, we couldn't even push down to like the previous low over here at 98.3, and then we just closed the day green, right? While Nvidia was going down, that is. So keep that in mind. This is really, really good buying. On the volume also showing the same thing as well. So as long as we are still right, this is it's not a very obvious higher highs and higher lows, but we do know that hey, there are buyers down there at 95.53, then buyers down there at 96.1, and higher from there, right? This can potentially set up a very good movement, just like LRCX. It can go boom, okay? If the market doesn't crash, if more people are seeing this trade, that would just be the way to go, okay? So yeah, uh, again, we see some weakness in the market, but it is not like hey, it's gonna go down 10 to 15% from here. 2 to 3% would be it would be significant action in my opinion. So right now, some sectors and some names are really showing weakness. We want to be able to take advantage of those kind of setups. And also, semi, we pointed out Micron and also Lam Research are looking really, really good on the setup here. Okay. And that is a wrap for me. And once again, this is not a financial advice. You're trading on your own risk. I'm just providing you with what I'm seeing in the market and providing you with those kind of opportunities that you can consider taking. And also, once again, if you do enjoy the content, make sure that you subscribe and like the video and leave a comment down below if there's any question I can answer for you. Okay, and happy trading, guys, and let's have a good week. I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.